All right, welcome back to PipeCast. This is Turnbuckle Tom, and I'm Pig Iron Pete. Sorry. So here we are.
Sometimes every intro does feel like a wrestling promo. Welcome to PipeCast. On this episode, I want to see the man, the myth, the legend, Thanksgiving Day, LJ Peretti. I'm going to see you at Summer Smash. Yeah! That is exactly what we do every time. And we're trying to figure it out on the fly. And it feels like a promo every time.
It's like, what, the one I said,
I'm calling you out!
Hey, Mysterio!
Padre Piper! I want to see you! And
You're a boy in a man's world, and I'm a man who loves to play with boys. No, that's not what I meant. Mysterio!
A simple introduction to this would be, once again, we have returned to a perennial review of sorts.
A perennial?
A perennial.
LJ Perennial.
LJ Perennial's Thanksgiving Day. We don't need to take a look at that blend because it's been the same blend jarred up 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And this
2019.
so this is the 4-year review. And
Sorry, did you see what I just did?
no, what'd you do?
I went up here and tried to light it.
I light my beard.
Sorry, wrong hole here. Sorry. Let me calm down a little bit.
Get in the character now.
Yeah. Let me get in the character. All right.
It's just a new pipe.
That's my newer one. This is the first time you've seen it in person, I guess. My bulldog.
I like a bulldog.
So I got a 7 bulldog, and now I got a Peterson bulldog.
And you know how you know, like, that it's a bulldog? Is the diamond shank.
Yeah, I would say the Rhodesian, is a different kind of shape.
Yep, Rhodesian has a rounded shank.
Oh, okay. And see, the interesting thing about the 7 is that it's not necessarily a diamond. It's like that that matches pipe. It's like a triangle more than it is a diamond kind of. Or it's just it's an oddly shaped diamond.
Right.
But I like it tapers down into like that. And then I wanted another P-lip, so I only had one P-lip across like 7 Petersons. So.
P-lips are good.
So yeah, we're back with LJ Peretti's Thanksgiving Day. As it's been going on, I don't know what I'm saying. It gets better every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is more of a test. It's more just a tradition. We smoke it, but we're trying to see, is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse?
Ironically, this whole thing turned out to be, we're like, well, what do we do with this Thanksgiving day? We got a ton of this tobacco.
Well, you had a great idea.
We hate.
Yeah, you had a really good idea because you were like, let's just smoke it again, and we can call that episode Leftovers. I was like, yeah, cool. So it almost came from like what are we gonna do with this, into
Then every year,
marketing kind of thing.
we ended up smoking. Now we smoke it every year.
Yeah, LJ Peretti.
But to not like something so much, to end up loving it, is the weirdest. That never happens. This is the first time I've ever seen an aromatic take so well to cellaring. I mean, it's 4 years in that same jar that it gets smoked. We make a bowl, smoke a bowl, and it's like, all right, well, I guess we're putting this back on the shelf until next year. As a matter of fact, next year is going to be even weirder, because on our 5th year of having this, the anniversary 5th year, we're actually going to order a new thing of LJ Peretti and smoke the new blend against the old blend. Yeah. There'll be a 2-episode Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving Day new, Thanksgiving Day old. Probably call it Thanksgiving Day tradition versus Thanksgiving Day something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
fresh turkey versus frozen turkey.
Yeah, fresh and frozen. But like once again, it's still great. All of the kind of light fruity notes are there, but the complexity of the tobacco sticks with it. This is one of those times where I was not 100% convinced at the beginning. I think I say this every time. When we first smoked it, it just felt like it burned off really quick. None of the flavors were particularly melded. But now, I'm not as quite as concerned with sort of the fruit sort of aromatic toppings that come with it. What I'm most concerned about is just the quality of the tobacco.
Yeah.
And it's aged so well together in that jar that it's almost got this like I would shudder to think of smoking it more than once because I look forward to this so often.
Yeah.
That's how good this tobacco has become. Where it's just like, well, let's not waste it. Let's just do the one bowl a year like we've been doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't make it. It's never going to be a sure thing that that particular blend and those particular tobaccos are going to show back up again in the sequencing or in the grade of leaf or anything like that. But for whatever reason, when we purchased this, all those components seem to not exactly get along at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's slowly over time have just become something else. And man, is it good.
It reminds me, and maybe I'm grasping at straws here, but this year, and maybe I noticed it a few years ago, but I'm getting like a rustic feel to it, almost like what my memory of Northwoods was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Northwoods is like, it's in English, but it's almost like a Northwoods without the Latakia,
Okay.
kind of, because it's rough in a good way. Like it's got a little bit. I noticed some blend that we smoked recently had like a basement smell. There's some kind of basement thing happening here, like an old mildew kind of thing,
Right.
but in a good way. A lot of times when you're talking about the flavors of a blend, you say things that aren't.
Don't necessarily want the words musty to come out of your mouth, but here we are.
What is it? Some of those some of the Englishes have like a kerosene. Is that what it is, or creosote?
You're talking about creosote?
Creosote. Yeah, it's like that's not appetizing, but
Not necessarily. Like when it has like a deep, earthy, almost asphalt-like kind of acidity to it.
yeah.
When I say asphalt, I'm really talking about there's a if you're like if you're refurbishing like old tools,
Mm-hmm.
there's a if you see old tools that have like what I can only describe as looking like a black lacquer on them for protecting the thing.
Yeah.
In the back in the 20s or 30s or 19th century, 20th century, that's called Japanning.
Oh.
And Japanning is there's a lot of formulas. Ultimately, what you need to know is that Japanning is made up of 3 components that become sort of like a thick paste, and then it's baked on. So it one is boiled linseed oil, the other is turpentine.
Okay.
And then the kind of like agent that kind of combines them or whatever is called asphaltum. Asphaltum's mined out in like Nevada. I think it's originally what like original recipe asphalt is made out of. Asphaltum, asphalt. But if you take those 3 things and you blend them and then you let them sit for 24 hours, they turn into kind of like a mud. You paint it on and then you throw it in your oven at 400 degrees, and then you'll keep painting it and baking it, and then slowly you bake it directly onto the metal, and it's like a hard lacquer.
Is it like the precursor to like bluing or whatever?
Bluing?
Is there like some tools are finished in like a blue, like a?
I know what you're talking about, but that's like, it seems like bluing is a chemical component that posts on there that like turns it like a darker color.
Is it just for aesthetic?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. This is why mine like I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know why they do it.
Gotcha. That's what I was curious about. I was wondering if bluing was for that.
Japanning originally, and the reason it's called Japanning is because the Japanese were known for their lacquer works.
Oh, okay.
And Europeans wanted to sort of capitalize on that sort of Oriental Asian aesthetic.
Yeah.
And so they created their own form of lacquering. And because they weren't calling it lacquering, they wanted it associated directly with those Japanese imports. They called it Japanning.
Oh, okay.
And Japanning went from basically like early European lacquer works, and then developed, I think, over the course of like a century or something like that, where like when you look at the Model T cars, you know how like Ford famously said, It comes in every color as long as it's black.
Yeah.
But the reason it's black is because it also was Japan.
Oh, okay.
Ford old Model Ts weren't painted. They were japanned.
Yeah. You know, it took me a long time, like within recent years, for me to realize, listen, I'm an idiot. Let me just go and tell you all this. I don't, as much as I like think about certain things, I just take everything else at face value.
Mm-hmm.
It took me forever to realize, oh, they paint things so that it won't rust. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, I thought it was just cosmetic, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, that's why you paint, because it keeps the metal from rusting.
Well, even more to that point, like Japanning is a preventative. Well, it's kind of funny because, like, you look at it, it's like I'm assuming at first it's aesthetic lacquer work, like copy. Then it probably has a pragmatic application of not rusting.
Yeah.
But then that application on automobiles was like, well, how do we distinguish it?
Yeah.
And then it becomes painting.
Yeah.
So yes, they probably all have the same characteristic, but all for different reasons.
Yeah. It's interesting stuff.
That's why I was always curious about, like, there's a new process of painting. I don't guess you could call it painting. We'll just say customizing a car to make it look different. It's called wrapping.
Yeah.
But and like it seems like if you had even a I don't know how it works, but I feel like if there's a space, because it's just over the car.
Yeah.
So if you had anything, it would just rust all the way through, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know.
It wouldn't prevent, like, I couldn't imagine it would prevent it.
Well, right? I think most people, this is my understanding, I could be wrong, most people wouldn't wrap a bare car. Like, the car's already been painted with a base color. So, like, nobody, again, I mean, nobody, like, major manufacturers are there's no car rolling off the assembly plant that has a wrap on it. Mm-hmm. Usually, it's still painted, and then like once somebody buys the car, they'll go wrap it. Mm. That's how NASCAR, or I guess all cars, their livery, they're no car in racing is painted anymore. They wrap just because it's easier. They've got it down to a science, and so it's just easier to design the paint job the way you want it, send it over, it gets printed, and they wrap it. So but those are carbon fiber bodies. Okay. So there's no rust happening there. But yeah, for like your everyday cars, most people, they're wrapping on top of paint. So that rust thing, you're still protected, kind of.
Okay, cool.
I don't know anybody who wraps a bare car.
Okay.
I don't know.
For like, once again, for guys who refurbish tools, and maybe they don't think that I know what I'm talking about, or for guys who are car guys and definitely know that I don't know what I'm talking about, just make a comment about what to correct me, because I'm not like standing on some sort of firm authority. I'm just I've refurbished tools before. I know enough of the history, and I can give you enough information. Yeah. But once we get into like modern like wrapping, I understand it as a concept. Mm-hmm. Which it actually could be a complete preventative against rust.
It could.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it feels like it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be.
My point is that if it's not, that's interesting, because to me, the whole point of the conversation was when you start out with, like, we want to import these precious items from Japan, to we want to emulate these items from Japan, to it has a practical purpose with tools, to it has a practical purpose with cars, to how do we individualize cars, so this is that point where it's preventative to color.
Yeah. Now it's aesthetic.
Now it's aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating to me, that like we can go from practical to like, oh, it's pretty.
But that's everything. Shoes, footwear, used to be practical, or now it's more fashion. There's no practicality in shoes. Well, no. Other than specific shoes.
Well,
but like your like everyday run-of-the-mill shoe, there's no practicality. It's just what fashion do you like? That's like everything. Mm-hmm. And like same with like house design. Like a lot of the stuff that you see in popular modern houses, the stuff that's on the outside, like fake dormers, right? Like there's no practicality in a fake dormer, other than unless it's a combination with your attic to help release the moisture out of the air, out of the house, and for mold prevention. But a lot of the architectural aesthetic things on a house have no practicality in modern day.
I mean, it's like, I don't know of anybody that has storm shutters that aren't bolted to the brick.
And that always makes me so mad. Like Ann has to, my wife has to hear me complain all the time. Like we'll go buy a new house and they'll have.
That's what they're called, right? Those wooden.
Yes.
They're called storm shutters, right?
Yeah, or just plain shutters.
Or just plain shutters. Okay.
But I get so mad because, like, here's an example. Like you can't see it, but I'm pointing at that. You see those shutters around those two doors?
Yeah.
If those were actually operational and you closed them, are you covering the entire window? No. So like I get so annoyed that like shutters have now become decorative, but if I'm going to do something that's decorative, I still want it to have the look that it would be functional. So if I'm going to put a shutter up, it needs to look like if I really closed it, it would cover the whole window.
Could you imagine if the first home builder was just like, all right, so here's your house, blah, 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 and they're like, where are the shutters? He's like, well, with these windows, they're sealed, and they don't require any further protection because of the ceiling, and like it's got a storm preventative. The glass is like high grade, shatterproof. It's also got some. She's like, actually, give me storm shutters or shutters, and he's like, but they don't serve a purpose. And she's like, or he was like, bolt them onto the house.
Yeah, like even right here.
It's like, okay,
like those are bolted.
Yeah.
But
so
again,
they're like, hey Jimmy, just could you bolt those onto the house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get so aggravated. And see, Ann gets aggravated when you like if there's a porch on the front of a house, and then there looks like there would be a balcony, but there's no door that goes to the balcony. It's just a fake one. She's like that's wasted.
It's like a second story balcony with
nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's got railing, but there's no door leading out.
Right.
And there might be a window there, but even if you crawled out on top of there, you might fall through.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know how this ties in. I'm trying to think on the spot how this ties into Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgiving Day has never been one for. Look, we've reviewed this so many times. For whatever reason, a bad tobacco after cellaring has become a good tobacco, and we're going to continue running this bit until we're dead.
Yeah.
There will be a Thanksgiving Day 20-year review.
Eventually, I want, if this kind of happens, and we, because crazy enough, the first video we put out last year was Thanksgiving Day, and it was like after a hiatus that we took. And since that, we have gained almost 400 subscribers from what we were at, which is great. We appreciate that so much. And if that growth continues, it'd be nice to one day have maybe a get together with people who actually enjoy the show or other creators, and do a Thanksgiving Day with them too. It's just everybody kind of, maybe not a recorded thing. We still do the review, but then we do everybody get together and smoke Thanksgiving Day.
Right. Peretti makes a great series of tobaccos.
Yeah. You've had a bunch.
Yeah. Dundee's great. Number 8 Slices is great. And Thanksgiving Day is great. I'm actually wondering if I return to Thanksgiving Day, if what's going to be funny is when I buy a new one and I love it, and it turns out that it was me that changed. I was the guy the whole time. I was the one who changed.
It was Zach the whole time.
You guys just kind of watched an arc of our palate change.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm excited for it. I hope it doesn't part of me is sometimes I'm a pessimist. Sometimes our roles reverse sometimes. And I'm kind of like, man, what if it's bad and then it changes how we feel about this one? You know what I mean? What if it carries over?
Well, that'd be kind of interesting if it's sort of attached to your palate in a negative way, and then all of a sudden you just hate Thanksgiving Day. Hey, that's the fun of this show.
Yeah.
But even if I hate it,
still gonna smoke it.
Still gonna smoke it. So whatever.
But yeah, one final note. That kind of basement musty, moldy smell. It's kind of sticking this year for me. I get that more than anything in the blend.
It's probably just aging it a little bit.
And and that stays in a room that's climate controlled to a certain extent. Yeah, it could be susceptible to some kind of moisture coming in there from time to time.
Maybe, but I doubt it. No more than. Dadgum.
What would be
no more
acceptable?
than anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe the experiment is flawed because it's been opened.
Yeah, it keeps getting open and open.
But it's only once a year.
And it's not open for any longer period of time than like 5 minutes.
Maybe then what I can do is we'll buy 2 bricks of LJ Peretti's and one will never be opened after it's been cellared for 5 years.
There you go. Yeah. Man, we should have thought ahead. We should have bought 2 back then, and then next year would be like a 3 thing. It would have been like 5 fresh, 5 years of it being opened, 5 years of not being opened. Man, that's what we should have done.
Well, that's more episodes for future.
Fresh, 10-year open, 5 years.
Right. So we have. It's going to be interesting once we get to the 20 year, if that still holds. Because then we'll have 20, 15, 10, 5. So you have 4 episodes you have to deal with.
Boy. But it's still good. We still recommend it. We still think people should try it. And, give some love to LJ.
Yeah.
LJ. I know most this channel is dominated by the mass producers, but
this is one of the oldest blenders I think in the country.
Yeah. Or they're out of Boston, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Over I think in Harvard Square.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, good blend. We hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving. Spending time with your family.
So we had a little bit of a camera malfunction there, but that's what you're saying. No, it's on the table. A little jump there. But hope you enjoy Thanksgiving with you and your family. And obviously, we'll be back again next year with Thanksgiving Day. Enjoy your holiday season. Check out LJ Peretti's Thanksgiving Day. And don't get too full on turkey. Thank you.
See y'all. He put that in his mouth.